Hey guys, Kirikai here, and welcome to another Jack vlog. Today, we're going to be talking about episode 97. I think that's what it is. Either 97 or 98. I can't remember the name of the thing. I forgot to mute the fucking computer. Whatever. So, anyway. This episode was really, really good. I thought the last episode was awesome, but this is easily my new favorite now. This is my new favorite episode so far. And I can tell that as far as we go, the episodes are just going to get better from here. So, the episode is basically Jack trying to get his sword back. And he's having this, like, mental journey, this spiritual journey to seek it back. He's meditating, trying to find a way to speak to the divine forces of nature that gave Jack's father the sword in the first place. And meanwhile all of this is happening, Ashi is trying to defend Jack from all sorts of forces that are trying to attack him. Like, there's an army of soldiers that goes after him, and like, he's like, they're on the top of the mountain, and then Ashi arrives, little Ashi Bell, as I've called her, because, you know, Tinkerbell, or whatever. She jumps down and then asks, "What are you doing here?" And the guys are like, "Going up to kill the samurai of the mountain, what's it to you?" And of course, as expected, like the one-woman army she goes after them, and then she fucking annihilates every single soldier. And yeah, so the majority of the episode, eventually by the end of it, Jack does receive his sword back, and he redeems himself, and he's overcome his inner demons to become a stronger person, and thus he is reborn as Samurai Jack once more. This episode had a lot of good things in it. For one thing, the episode started out with a brief flashback about how Jack lost his sword. In the first episode in Season 5, we got a little sneak peek, but the flashback was completely altered itself. That's one of the many details I noticed. Like, Jack was drawn differently, the sword looked a little bit weird, and the whole background was green for whatever reason. And Genndy probably did that on purpose because he didn't want to give away what was going to happen and how Jack was going to lose his sword. So we finally got an explanation. I thought we were going to get that explanation. I thought it was like someone who had nothing to do with Aku, which is kind of true to some extent, but actually not. Yes and no. So anyway, there's a flashback. It starts off with Jack walking up this mountain, and then we see these sheep follow him all the way through. These cute little sheep, or rams or whatever. They're going up. They're following it. The ram sheep, whatever. Like these purple furry creatures with horns that curl up. I think it's a ram or whatever. I don't know. But it has a wool of a sheep. So anyway. He's going up this mountain to see if there's a time portal up there, and what do you know? There's a time portal. He jumps into it, and Jack actually does have a chance. He actually starts to get inside the portal. He's making his way through, but then Aku literally plucks him by the fingers, pulls him out, and then is just I was like, you fucking asshole. But that's what I love about Aku. That's what makes him so enjoyable. And then we get to finally hear Greg Baldwin perform Aku as Aku. Not depressed as shit Aku, though depressed as shit Aku is still just as fun. This Aku was amazing. Like the one that we saw in the first 4 seasons, where he was just a complete asshole. Where he's just like, "Ha ha ha! Foolish samurai! Oh, that was a close one. I almost saw you were going to go through that, but no!" And it was just amazing, just to hear him mess with Jack, just to get the better of him, just to get understand. And he just rubs it in his face. "That was the last time portal in existence." And then Jack just gets really pissed off. He gets into a rage, and Aku's just egging him on, just like, "Oh, you shouldn't get too angry, samurai. You could have a heart attack. On second thought, don't listen to me. Go on. And then he goes on and then decides to attack Aku in a blind rage, but then Aku's like, "Oh, I know better than to attack that sword, trust me. But I'll leave you some friends to play with." And then he turns, then these giant creatures appear from the bottom, or whatever, and Jack, in a blind rage, decimates them, just like stabs them in the head, makes them all bloody and shit. But then it's soon revealed that it's the cute little sheep we saw earlier. They were just transformed by Aku to attack Jack, and Jack killed them in a furious rage. And then, in shock of this fact, a giant boulder falls, Jack is blown away from his sword, and then he drops it, and then the sword rolls into this cavern, this hole, and then it just falls all the way down. And, of course, earlier in the episode, Ashi and Jack try to find the sword inside the little hole, but Jack just finds the skull of the dead sheep that he killed, and there's nothing there. It is then that the reason why Jack goes on that spiritual journey to get his sword back is because he realizes that it's not that he lost the sword. The sword rejected him. It lost him, in a way. And so after this, whatever, through that traumatic experience, he just lost it. He's been clouded by anger, depression, all these traumatic things clouding his mind, and he goes on this spiritual journey, meditation, to figure out a way to get his sword back. And as you know, yeah, it goes well for the most part, and he and of course Ashi, like I mentioned before, is protecting Samurai Jack through all of this happening. Of course, she's fighting like this army of demons and aliens or whatever, and then she kills all of them. But then, in a surprise twist, I actually didn't expect this, the Grand Priestess appears, Ashi's mother. See, what I expected is that the mother was going to eventually meet up with Aku at one point, but that didn't happen. And granted, that Aku probably wouldn't give a shit, because really Aku's just laying in bed, just moaning away, acting like a wee baby, as ye old Scotsman would say. God rest his soul. But anyway, so yeah, that happened. So she meets up with Ashi again, and the priestess is just like, "Your disappointment, you failed us, and then I must kill you, because you won't kill the samurai." And of course, Ashi and the priestess both fight each other, narrowly avoiding moments where, like, there's even one point where she almost stabs Jack with this, like, dagger or whatever, just going, but then Ashi pulls her away just in the good time. That was a little bit silly, but it was also pretty cool too. So yeah, that happens, and the whole fight, like, Jack is just undisturbed throughout his whole meditation, and throughout that whole process, Ashi's just kicking ass. And then at the last moment, through all the struggling, right before the priestess can get a hit or stab on Jack, Ashi throws an arrow at her, and then it jabs her straight through her, and then she falls all the way down. She's gone, as far as we know. If Scaramouche can survive being blown up, and Ashi can survive being electrocuted multiple times, I'd say sky's the limit. But for now, let's just say she's dead for now. But anyway, so that happens. Meanwhile, in Jack's meditation, he finally figures out, because throughout the whole process, he's making tea. Well, actually, before that happens, we get this beautiful landscape where he's just, surrounded by stars and grass. This image poster that you've seen everywhere on the internet where Jack is meditating in a huge field of grass. That happens. Then he gets on a raft and he starts sailing, and then he finds this old guy in a temple or whatever. He asks, "Are you lost?" And at first I thought that was George Takei doing the voice. I may have to check the credit on that. I'm probably wrong on that. It's probably some other actor I haven't heard of. I'll leave in I'll leave in a text right here to say who that actor was once I research it. But anyway, that he makes some tea, and it this happens while Aji is fighting the army in the background, and Aji, as well as her mother in the background. And it just, at one point when she starts the fight, she's like screaming, like going, "Ah!" And then it cuts back to Jack just making tea. It's such an awkward but perfectly comedically timed transition. It just made me laugh when I saw it. I was like, oh my god. But then the second time they did it, it wasn't as funny. So I guess they were just trying to take it seriously or whatever. Just like, it really sets like some kind of mood whiplash. It's like, Jesus. Genndy, was that on purpose? Were you trying to like make that cut awkward on purpose? Just saying, that's not like a criticism or anything, because I think it works fine either way. But I'm just wondering. So anyway, that happens, and after that, Jack pretty much finishes the tea, serves it to the old guy. He says, "It's terrible," and I was like, "Oh shit!" And he tells him it lacks balance. That's the reason. The ingredients are great, but it lacks balance. That's what's wrong with it. And of course, Jack urges the old guy to give him the information as to where the sword is, but he's just like, "I can't do that for you." And then, well, what do you know? Jack's asshole conscience arrives that we saw in previous episodes, just to bug him and say, "Oh, does he not know what we went through? All the death, all the struggling." And then it is then that Jack realizes, "You asshole, you gotta go, because you're clouding up my mind, you're making me think these things that aren't really true, and you're making me feel like garbage. So, you gotta go. I've seen the light, you're gone." It's just like it actually is very similar to an episode back in Season 1, Jack versus Mad Jack. In fact, I'm pretty sure there are a few theories out there pointing out this could be an incarnation of Mad Jack in some way or another. Probably somewhere on Reddit or whatever. Someone look it up. Which makes me wonder, because Genndy Tartakovsky listed like a list of episodes that were essential to Samurai Jack. And he put Mad Jack on the list as well. So something tells me that this whole conscience thing has a tie with Mad Jack. Just a theory. But anyway, yeah, that happens. He gets rid of it, and then the old man's like, "You are now balanced." And then we see the three gods from Birth of Evil appear, like the three celestial gods that appeared to initially destroy Aku, but then they accidentally let a piece fly off to Earth. Oops. But then they created the sword to help Jack's father defeat Aku. So then they realized, just like your father, you are worthy. And then they give him the sword. And then in a surprise moment, Jack is reborn. Instead of like, and then he puts on his robe. They give him back his robe. He gets a clean shave and his classic haircut again. Now, on one hand, alright, we got Jack again. That's awesome. His classic design is back in store. It's amazing. On the other hand, I'm like, what the fuck? His beard was cool. I really got used to it. I liked his beard. I wanted to see him with that beard more often, because, like, in the Season 3 episode, Jack and the Traveling Creatures, where Jack fights the Guardian, and Guardian sends him off flying away with the pterodactyl creature or whatever, you see a glimpse in the time portal or whatever, an image of Jack wearing a crown and with a long beard and hair flowing in the wind, along with the cape or whatever. And I'm just like, why not? But alright, maybe he does get the beard again. Maybe that was just the whole what Doc Brown said in Back to the Future, that no one's future is written yet. So, whatever. And also, one thing you gotta understand is that, like, I knew ahead of time that this was going to be an episode about the swords, so I made sure to watch the episode that was the creation of Jack's sword, Birth of Evil. I thought, and that was the perfect episode to watch before this, because it's basically it. Much like, again, we see the gods create the sword for Jock's father. We see the amazing animation, and the first out of the first original 4 seasons, Birth of Evil is easily my favorite. But season 5, they're getting some really good episodes on here. I'm expecting, like, with how good these episodes have been getting so far, I'm expecting the finale or somewhere in this series to blow Birth of Evil out of the water. I know that's really asking a lot, but I think it's definitely a possibility, especially with the technology this show has been providing so far. Its combination, its use of CG elements at times, but mainly using 2D to its advantage. This is going to be a ton of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, Jack gets his sword. Ashi and Jack, like, at first we think Ashi's just laying on the ground. We think she says, like, "Oh no, please God, please let her live." We saw her transform in the other episode. Don't kill her off so soon. And then she lives, and I'm like, "Oh, thank God." And then and then Ashi compliments her, says, "Jack, you're back, and you got a shave and a haircut." I'm just like, oh God, oh God. I feel like, and it's now making me think 2 things. One, they're really starting to develop something here, and 2, I ship it so hard. I really do. I ship it so hard. Genndy mentioned that there's supposed to be like a tearjerker scene towards the end of the series, and something tells me that either one of 2 or 3 things is going to happen. 1, Jack and Ashi are gonna have to part ways, and it's gonna be really difficult. They're probably gonna fall in love with each other, and it's gonna be really hard for them to break up, to head back into the past and to fix all this bullshit. Or 2, Ashi's gonna die. That's literally the only 2 options I can think of that can happen. But aside from that, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. Jack is back. I can't wait to see the next episode. This episode ended on a perfect cliffhanger, and this is easily, so far, the best episode of Season 5. I cannot wait to see the episodes that follow. We got 3 left to the finale of the series entirely, and then it's all over forever and ever, and then we'll be completely up to date on the show, and then we'll know what happens, how Jack gets to the past, or maybe he doesn't. We don't know what's going to happen. I really hope it's not all for nothing, because if it was all for nothing, that would be a huge disappointment, but we're going to see what happens in the next coming weeks. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next Jack vlog. Peace!